Hey everybody, I'm back with our friend Melissa Kirk of Brentwood Vitality Spa and the massage, and she does everything. She will not make breakfast for you, but she'll do just about everything else. And today I was talking to her about, because I have a tween, and you know, that's what they define it as, age 7 to 14 now, I think. And there's some issues coming up with these girls, these little divas. And I wanted to ask her, because she does a lot of coaching and hand reading. And when I first heard of hand reading, I said, I don't know what I think about it. But she did a hand reading for my daughter. She found out some interesting things that are true. So as a parent, what value would it be to you to come in and, or even send off your handprint of your kid? I mean, how's that going to help you reach into their mind and make them bend to your will? No, not really. I mean, make them do the right things, okay? Help them do the right things, right?
Well, in your life, in your handprints, your fingerprint patterns, when you have your hands read, it will be revealed to you what your child's life lesson is. And that is the repeating challenge that they face over and over again throughout life. So a lot of times during my coaching with my clients that have had a hand reading, whatever situation they bring in for that week that they want to work on, I always ask them, okay, what is your lesson? What's your lesson in your hands? What's your life challenge? And always you can see a connection to what's going on and what their lesson is. So when you start approaching your children and when you have a situation with them, and you keep in mind, if you go back in the back of your mind and think, what is their lesson? How does this correlate with it? Then you can create a safe space for them and address why it is that they're responding the way that they are, is because something's being triggered in their lesson. And so when you manage that part of it, you change the whole situation around and stop making them feel vulnerable or feel like they're failing at something or whatever it is that they struggle with. And you can learn to build them up, and you can learn how to approach it, and it won't be triggering you. I think when you have empathy and compassion for where someone's coming from, then you stop being triggered and getting upset by what they're doing, because you have an understanding for why they're doing it. And then you can address the issue that they're having, that the place and wound that they're coming from. So if your child is attacking you about the fact that, whatever the situation is, if
she doesn't want to do homework.
She doesn't want to do homework. Well, why is it that she doesn't want to do the homework? So when you look at maybe what her lesson is, maybe it is that, someone's bullying her at school, or maybe it is that she doesn't understand this, or maybe she doesn't feel like it's worth doing, but if you approach it from, you have to figure out and get inside their head as to why they wouldn't want to do it. And maybe she's not wanting to do her homework because you're not sitting down and doing it with her. So maybe she's feeling abandoned. Maybe that's an issue she's struggling with. And so you can find and create a time when you can do it with her.
And that's all from the hands, you know this?
A lot of that information.
So it sounds as if a parent would also benefit from getting their hand done at the same time, I would think. Right?
Yes, it's very helpful. When I read all of my children's hands, it gave me a lot of understanding for why they do what they do. Because as you know, you can have 12 kids and they're all different, and everyone's hands are different, even if there are some similarities. But I've read identical twins, and their hands are different, and they have different struggles. They do have a lot of similarities, but each person is their own person. And when you start to understand where they're coming from, it gives you an added way of helping them that will be beneficial to them.
So Melissa, how does a person, even if they're on the other side of the earth, what do they start with? You've got some sort of free report or something that you do on your website, right? And that would be the place to start.
So the free report's about the heart line. And the heart line is the line that starts underneath the pinky and goes across the palm. It's the top line, usually. There can be other lines up in here, but it starts right under the pinky and goes across. And the important part, everyone starts over here, but the important part to look at is where it ends over here. Which finger it's under, if it curves, if it's straight, and that's information whatever yours does, the information about what that means is on my website.
Now these it's interesting you brought that up though. These things on your hand, these lines, can change. You're not born with a set. That's not like fingerprints, right? You don't. Are they? They're not the same your whole life, correct?
Well,
Things
they can
do
be
change.
the same your whole life.
They
but
can be.
You can change them. So the fingerprint patterns, our justice system has scientifically proven that your fingerprint patterns don't change. And you're born with these fingerprint patterns. They form 4 months in utero. When the baby is still forming and only 4 months old is when the fingerprint patterns are present. And you keep those throughout life. When people are born, most of the time the lines that are in their hands have a lot to do with the parents and the family dynamics. And then they will change to become personal. Because as you know, in child development, in the first formative years, the person gets set for life in a lot of ways. So that's when the lines predominantly form. But as you go through change, as you make conscious change or have experiences, maybe even trauma, these lines will change. And they are connected to the neural pathways in the brain. So you can through coaching or through counseling or through lots of different methods, you can consciously change the way you react and respond to things in life. And as you do that, those neural pathways will change and the lines in the hand will show up differently.
How old should a kid be? I was just thinking, you don't necessarily want to do this to babies because you don't always know, right? I mean, what would be the ideal age for this to be optimal?
Okay, so if you want to know what someone's life purpose is, their life lesson, and their spiritual foundation, it doesn't matter how old they are. I have nieces and nephews that are under 1, and I've read their hands. So the trickiest part is getting them able to put their hand out flat and get the print. But it will be just as accurate at that
You just tell
point.
them it's painting or something.
Yeah,
right? They're
right.
just, yeah.
So, but the thing with hand reading is that I read my own hands all the time. They change all the time in the way that they print. So, and it may not even be the lines. It may be small lines. It may be the way that the hand shape changes or where something recesses. So the value of doing the print is that the ink will show up in one way, and the next time you print it, it may show up in a different way, showing a new challenge. And so by getting your hands printed regularly, you can show where the challenge is at that time. Even just by which part of the fingers are showing up, or how dark, or if there's a chunk missing or a zone missing. Each one of the fingers has 3 zones. And so if one of your zones is not printing, there's a reason for it. And so I help people in my coaching to look at what's going on in that and dissect it, so that they can
Wow.
stop having that challenge.
So this is great. So Melissa, where do people, if they want to get their kids started on this, where would they go and get some information and a report?
You can go to my website. It's www.yourlifeyourway.tv.
Or the Your Hands Revealed is the other one, right?
Right.
Yourhandsrevealed.com is another place you can go and find out specifically about hand reading on that site, correct?
Right.
So these all tie together, and they all go with the massage and everything else. It's all a holistic approach that Melissa has. You can call her at
925-322-5182.
And let's emphasize too that you don't have to be physically in California to take advantage of either the coaching or the hand reading. Yes, the massage she can't do virtual, but when she figures out a way to do it virtually, I guarantee she will do it. So thanks a lot, Melissa, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Tammy.